So, I think I've figured out how to replicate the Thresh Flay Bug. The Thresh Flay Bug where when you flay somebody, they don't get knocked back. And when this happens, it's really frustrating for most people. I'd say pretty much everybody, but a lot of times it's right when you're about to kill somebody and it costs you the kill. So, but I've noticed in every video that this bug happens, and every time it's happened to me, if you look closely, they still get slowed, but the knockback doesn't happen. And I'm trying to figure out exactly why. I've been able to actually replicate the circumstances in which this happens, and it actually happens right at the end of the Thresh Q, the death sentence. And the closer you get to that animation, the less and less the Flay actually knocks the opponent backwards, to the point where it just gets kind of popped up in the air. And once you get to the exact moment that the Q is about to end, it actually ends up canceling that knockup altogether and just slowing them. And I was actually able to do it pretty much over and over again, as long as I timed it right, on the custom game that I made. I was actually doing it. It doesn't have to be on a champion either. It can be on anything that you grab. So what I ended up doing here is I actually went into the blue side jungle near white, and here I was able to kind of pop them up the first time and then pretty much nullify the knockup altogether by doing it at the exact same timing every single time. So I'm going to play this video. You can see in the first one, it's not completely towards the end. It kind of pops them in the air, but they don't get knocked back. They just get knocked up. They still get slowed. You can still see the slow, but when you do it at the exact same time as every time, the knockback's completely nullified. The slow's still there. It's still applying CC. It's just not applying the knockback part. And I think it has to do with a lot with the way Thresh's Q works, in that it's probably a spaghetti code of, because it's not a solid like CC. It's kind of a hard pull. It happens at different intervals, and it's not a normal type of CC, Thresh's Q, because it pulls backwards and does it in these kind of jerky movements. You can also see it in different videos. Like I've pulled up, this is a pretty well-known moment. It was NALCS Week 4 Game 1. And here you can see, I think, Elimination tries to grab, I forget. But when it's the exact same timing as the one I did it. It's right towards the end. And he still gets slowed. You can still see the slow. I should probably mute that. But right, it's like bam, bam, and then Flay, and it's almost at the exact same moment towards the end, because you get pulled twice, and I think they've got it coded probably. I'm no programmer, but they probably got it coded to where towards the end of that, it's because they pretty much code two pulls, or the pull twice, and they gotta overlap it somehow to make it look smooth. So they probably have something at the end of the pull animation that interacts with the Flay, and I'm just throwing stuff out there because I don't know how to code. Who does? I guess, you know, coders do, but anyway, right there, still slowed, same timing, 1, 2, Flay, and then you can also see it here in this video, It's a completely different video. Somebody else is actually doing this in slow motion, so you can kind of see it better. But same timing, bam, bam, flay. And they still get slowed, they just don't get knocked back. And I don't believe Vayne dies, so it's one of those moments that everybody sees when and gets frustrated with. So, but you can see it's the Flay still kind of does some CC where it holds them there, kind of moves her a little bit to the right, but it's not. I don't know. It's kind of weird, but you can replicate it over and over again if you get yourself into a custom game. I've read somewhere on, I think it was Reddit, where the reason they were having the bug hasn't been fixed is because of how hard it is to actually replicate, and hopefully this will help Riot